everybody, and welcome back. We're on episode 15. And here I am, Sue Mim, with my darling Rachel and Kimberly. And we're here to talk about dogs, plants, people, life, and all things in between. It's unscripted. We're just here to have fun. We're here to have a conversation, and we're inviting you as the listeners to join us, to listen in, to subscribe, to comment, to share your views, and to join the conversation with us. And so, one of the things that we put out, Rachel asked a question on Instagram and said to the followers of the podcast, "What would you like to hear? Is there a specific topic you'd like to hear, or some question you'd like us to answer?" And we got a lovely one from Carol, which is, how did we each individually get into working with dogs? How did we get to be where we are today? And how did we start working with dogs? So I thought that's a wonderful question to begin the session with. And I'm going to pass it over to Rachel first.
Sure.
Yes?
I thought you were going to do it alphabetically then. I don't know why I went back to primary school.
I'm just doing it because
K-R-R-K.
you had that beautiful look on your face, for those of you that look on your face.
Quizzically.
So yeah, let's go ahead and share.
It was, for me, it was a really easy shift because I was working in a job I didn't like. So I was working in the corporate world, which is hilarious when I think about it now, wearing a suit, sat at a desk with targets on the wall. I was a recruitment consultant. I mean, I laugh at that. Well, that's what my partner does now, and she's excellent at it, but I was not very good, shall we say. And I remember sitting at my desk, and we would have had charts on the wall with our targets, and we had pens and paper and all of those little boxes where you have the cards in, and a file of facts and all of those things. And I remember looking at the targets on the wall, hearing all the phones ringing in the background, and I'm looking at the targets going, I don't get this. I don't really understand. It was just such, and I can feel it so clearly now. It's like, what is the point? I don't get it. What is the point to this? It makes no sense to me. And probably within about a week, I was made redundant because for many reasons, probably I just was inept and messed around quite a lot and had a lot of fun and probably didn't really earn them much money. So I was made redundant, and I was in a situation where I didn't have to work at that point. And I sat at home and I thought, well, what do I like doing? What do I enjoy? I like dogs. And because I was living in London, the most obvious thing to do is go and volunteer at Battersea Dogs Home, which is the biggest and oldest dog charity in the UK. And I went along and I met a lady called Gander Swadling, which I thought was a great name. Gander Swaddling, Goose Gander Swaddling. Anyway, she was the lead volunteer, and she said, "Oh, we're doing a reunion day where everyone that has rehomed a dog comes along and meets all the rehomers and meets all of the other dogs, and they bring back their dogs that they've rescued." And I was given this greyhound to walk. I'd never met a greyhound in my life. And I was given this big black greyhound. I remember his whole body was shaking. His teeth were chattering and you know how they can shake, don't they, greyhounds? And I just thought, well, it's summer. Why is he shaking? What's he cold for? I didn't understand why he was shaking. And then I walked around a ring with him and he converted me to greyhounds. But very shortly after being a volunteer, I got a job there as a rehomer, which is where you basically match the people up with the appropriate dog. And it was the best job I've ever had. And that's where it all began, was at Battersea Dogs Home.
That's amazing.
Brilliant.
I love that. I mean, because at the end of the day, you were helping match the dog with the family, so you were still doing recruitment.
Yes.
I mean, it's like just in a more fun kind of way.
So true.
Amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it's like you learned the skill in corporate that you like then helped
Yeah.
so many people
So
in a
true.
way that meant something to your heart, which is awesome.
That's
That's
a really
cool.
good way of seeing
And
it.
then before I start, I have to say Filofax. How
Yeah.
old are you?
Like you're really aging yourself here, Rachel.
Filofax. Maybe it wasn't a Filofax. It was a box that had
Oh,
like cards in. And it,
Rolodex.
well,
That's just as
Yeah.
ancient.
that might be more ancient.
maybe they were in a really old-fashioned thingy. It would have been in the 1990s.
Oh, now you're trying to fix it.
I probably felt ancient.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
What's funny is the visual of me sat in a suit. Really?
Did you have to
That
wear a
is funny.
suit? You see, that's really dating yourself, because back then in home office you could get away with the shirt on top and pajama pants down below. But now you were there sitting in a suit. Oh,
I was.
divine. Bless.
What do you think I'm wearing right now?
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a shirt.
All right, just a shirt.
And what are you wearing below?
Pants.
Now, is that UK pants or American pants? Because in the UK, that's knickers. You're just wearing knickers.
Then it's US pants.
You're
I need to be
wearing-
careful. I need to be careful.
You do. You just sat in your pants.
This is moving below the belt now. We're moving off topic.
That was a great question, Carol. Thank you. Oh, man.
So, Kim, how did you get into dogs?
Well, it was not all that dissimilar to Rachel. I started in corporate. I was a computer software designer for 29 years or so, and I unlike Rachel, I loved it, and I had zero intention of ever leaving my career, but we adopted a dog. I love dogs, and we've had dogs ever since we got married. We got married and we already had our name in for a little corgi puppy, and I didn't know anything at the time at all. So he came into our life, but it was like 5 dogs later, I would say. And I do have to say there may be a little bit of a trigger warning, so I'm just going to put a warning out here because I'm telling my truth of this story. And we adopted an Australian Shepherd, and I worked for Australian Shepherd Rescue at the time as a volunteer, and we adopted a puppy through them. He was 9 weeks old, and we had like the most brilliant life, and he was going to be my everything dog. Like, we did agility, we did tricks, I just loved sports, and I have had a lot of injuries, and so I personally don't play sports, but to be able to help my dog and do that with them felt so good. And when he was 7 or 8 months old, we gave him his first rabies vaccine, and he got really sick, like a month later sick, and we didn't know that was a catalyst at the time. And he could fill a room with vomit. And he's supposed to be gaining weight as a puppy, and he lost 10 pounds, and I didn't know what to do. And the vets are like, you're feeding him bad food. We feed home cooked raw, like nutritionally, like species appropriate food. And like they handed us cans of Science Diet. And I just didn't understand, and I couldn't make myself understand. So fast forward to when he was 2, and we have to give the second rabies vaccine because you can only do the 1 year first. So then after a year, and we waited just because he was so sick, we gave him the second one, and this beautiful Red Merle Austrian Shepherd went from a dog who loved everyone. He loved to attend rescue events, and he turned into Cujo. And I had absolutely no ability to help him. I thought it was me screwing up. I thought I wasn't doing something. People said he's too you don't understand herding breeds and shouldn't have this kind of a dog. We'd had a corgi, we'd had an Aussie before him, we'd had a border collie mix before him. I didn't understand. So we went to trainer. I think it was at least 8 trainer. We were reactive dog class, aggressive dog class, this dog class, and he bit a couple of times. And it was really a matter of choice that I either learn some shit or he's euthanized. And I decided I was going to learn some shit, and I threw myself into whatever I could find. We met a homeopath. I went down that road of homeopathy. It helped a lot. I started looking into partnership and relationship with an animal as opposed to hardcore obedience, which we had done all gamuts of training. And it was a hobby for a while, and then at some point I had learned so many things and had so many experiences, and I saw so many people in a similar space that I just, on a whim, I went from working out. I drove 5 minutes to my office and I said, I have to retire. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I have to leave because I need to help dogs. And that was my mission. And so was I a trainer? Not really. Did I learn a lot about behavior? For sure. I did get certified as a partnership coach. I didn't love it. That's when I met Sue, and like our paths crossed then. And I mean, so how can you not be grateful for the gift of meeting one of your best friends in the whole world? Honestly. And then we met Rachel because we took your Zoo Pharma course. And again, it's this, if none of this had happened, if I'd had the perfect everything dog, I wouldn't have met the people that I'm so close to. And I it just kept going, and then it turned into animal communication, and I can't seem to stop the evolution now. I don't want to because it's just fun. And now it's turned into I'm writing and writing novels and short stories, and this beautiful boy that got so sick is 12 and a half years old, and he's got the best life. It's not the life I had imagined, but we have the best life together. And so that's where I got my start.
That's so cool.
A
Yeah,
catalyst dog.
we so blessed, actually, when you think about it, hey, in hindsight. But I hear you, Kim, those days, those early days, when you have that dog that comes into your life and just pulls it apart, right? And there's so much worry, there's so much anxiety, there's so much guilt, there's so much heartbreak that we go through during that time, that it's something very real. And I hear you. That's why, when you go through something like that, you the natural thing is to want to help people. The natural thing is to want to share with others who are going through the same space. So I think that's, again, something that's so similar in so many different stories of animal professionals get into it because, like you, Rachel, as well, you didn't mention, but you also have had animals in your life that have really been challenging or difficult or different than we expected, and they've taken us down these paths. And yeah, the same was me with Charlie. I had actually just moved to England. My kids were finishing up in high school, and I decided that it was a time that I had devoted, my last whatever 15, 17 years to my kids, being a full-time mum. And before that, I had grown up with animals. I'd always grown up with animals. I'd always had dogs in our life. I've had horses and cats and guinea pigs and rabbits and you name it. We've had them all. And it came a time in my life when we moved to the UK, and I knew my kids didn't need me as much as anymore. And I said, I'd really love to follow a lifelong dream that I had had, which was to be a vet nurse. What do you
Uh,
call it in the US? A
a vet tech,
a
like,
vet tech. Yeah,
hmm
that had kind of been a dream of mine that I'd put on the side for a long time. And so I decided I was going to go back and see if I could start studying that, which I'd already, picked out one or two courses. And at the same time, I said it's time that we can get a dog in our life again because we hadn't had one for so long, but we had the property and we had the space where we lived and, living close to the Dales, it was just like, oh, this is going to be so cool. So we looked around at the shelters and we found a dog called Charlie, who came home with us pretty rapidly. It was a very quick adoption, and he was perfect for us, but perfectly imperfect. He was, again, like, oh my gosh, I wish we had somebody who'd helped us to understand the process of, it's so easy to think I'm going there to an adopted dog to give it a good home. It's all what we think in our heads, like, this is what life is going to look like. I'm going to give this dog the most beautiful life ever. Like I said, we've got the property. We had, close to beautiful rolling hills where we could walk our dog. We bought a whole lot of camping equipment. We were going to go camping and hiking and do all these outdoor activities. And we think, a dog would just love to do this with us. And what about a dog from a rescue who's never had the possibility of such a brilliant life? And so it's all comes from our side of this is what we think is a brilliant life. This is what we um, presume that any dog would absolutely love to have. And Charlie was the character who looked like he certainly would have, but because of his background, because of what he had and hadn't learned in his very short life of 9 months at that stage when we got him, was everything against having that kind of lifestyle. He was just so overwhelmed by new environments. He was so overwhelmed by big spaces, big open spaces, that he couldn't cope. He certainly, he was a bright button. We took him to training classes, and inside a little hall, he was brilliant. He learned clicker training. He's, super sparky. He learned all his little tricks, etc. But in any other environment, like let's go for a walk or let's go camping, was just a nightmare. I mean, I remember the first camping trip, he just had diarrhea the whole time, stopped eating, and was just a mess. And his sort of reaction was either shut down or it was fight flight, and pulling on the lead meant his was his way of like, get me the hell out of here. And he wouldn't know where to get to, but he just wanted to run. And so he would just pull us around on the lead like a crazy person. And a couple of times that we decided to try and let him off leash, he was gone. He would chase anything, would spend hours running away, couldn't, not coming back. And, the fear of anybody who's experienced that, oh my God, where's he gone? What's he doing? Anyway, so long story, he led me down a path. I decided to change from vet tech to behavior. I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand how this dog, what he needed from me to support him, um, so that he could start, adapting to this life that we had brought him, invited him into, thinking he would actually love it, but certainly wasn't thriving in so many ways. And so, yeah, it was my heart that I really wanted to learn about him, what made him tick and why he was behaving the way he was, but also out of desperation. I was just desperate because he had turned our lives upside down, caused so much family trauma. We were all arguing. We were all had different opinions about it, and our walks and our camping trips were an absolute. He was a nightmare. So it was really from our side. It was from desperation that I needed to understand, because although we went to a lot of dog trainers and really good ones, I mean, that people who really understood dog behavior and not into all the obedience stuff were really, really good positive trainers, but even they, could only help me to a certain extent. So it was fascinating. I went down the whole path of behavior, and specifically for me, neuroscience and understanding the dog's brain and their neurochemistry, and understanding the different the states of their nervous system was so important to me because I could start recognizing it. And I think when it comes down with when you were saying, Kim, um, about understanding our animals or going down these paths, is it's really what we want to understand their communication. We want to understand what's going on inside their world, how they perceiving the world, how they communicate how they're feeling. And I think for me, going forward into that, why I then I wanted to make it a career was just that. I wanted people to understand what I was learning that was like so mind blowing to me. It really is mind blowing when you think that this dog or any animal has an entire different perspective on the world to the one we have, and they don't think like we do. They don't reason like we do. They don't live in worldly concepts like we do. They don't have human social programming like we do. And so we come into relationships with our dogs with humanized concepts and humanized agendas. And it
Preach
was
it.
such a mind-blowing thing to me to realize that the dogs have a totally different world that we're not even connecting to. And so for me to be able to share that with people and to help them to see their dogs differently, to perceive their dogs differently, to slow down, look, observe, learn the communication, learn to listen with all your senses and that kind of thing is just such a powerful thing because you just get it's such a different ball game to say I'm living with an animal in my life that we are learning from each other, and I'm learning about a different species and how they adapt and how they learn and all these things versus I have a dog and I want them to do a certain thing and they're not doing it and therefore they have
Oh
Preach
my
it.
God. Yeah.
Preach it. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. Even though I've been a qualified trainer and behaviorist for over 10 years, 12 years nearly. But the thing is, I just it's evolved from that in that I don't even really call myself a trainer anymore because it's not predominantly what I do. And going forward, like you said, it evolves, Kim. So for me, it's just about again, sharing what I've learned and sharing about this new perspective on how we could invite our animals into our lives in from a completely different perspective.
Yes. Yes.
So where to go from that, girls? What are you picking up?
Well, you
Oh,
said.
go on, Kim.
Go ahead, Rach. No.
Well, I was just about to say I absolutely loved everything of what you said there, Sue. It's I don't even know where to begin. I think someone said to me the other day, "There's two sides to every coin," and I was like, "There isn't even a coin." What? And I think our perception muscles are quite calcified as human beings. I think we have a very, very rigid, and this isn't, I'm not saying, that's a bad thing. It's to have that awareness that our perception is our perception. It's just, that's my perception, which is why we're doing this podcast. There's just three of us and we only have three different perspectives, but there are a gazillion others and we're the same species. And we filter things, dogs filter the world differently, and my dog will filter the world differently from your dogs, etc., etc. And I just, we may have said this before, but I think the way to simplify things for me personally is to meet that being for the first time, even if I've lived with them for 12 years, is there is this intelligence that I am experiencing in a shared field. They're a dog, but it's another being that is experiencing life through their lens. And I'm approaching it as a human being with my human construct of that's a dog and I want them to do this. And all of that is playing out. But in order to kind of move through that and to expand my perception, is my way of doing it is like, who are you today? Like, show me you today. And it's not that I'm expecting these downloads of, oh, I am this, it then puts me in a space of curiosity and more empathy rather than this rigid, calcified, t- narrowed view of which for me creates the biggest level of disconnect from our dog.
Yes.
So, Rachel, I'd love to just pick up that because I was thinking about that actually yesterday on a walk. I was watching Charlie sort of just trotting along, and he looked up at me and he had this big smile on his face and he was doing his thing. And I thought exactly what you said when you ask sort of a dog, who are you today? It's the same as saying, you meet a friend and you say, how are you today? And they will tell you in words. If they're honest enough, they'll say, I'm having a really sucky day, thanks. I'm feeling like shit. Or I'm having a great day. I'm feeling on top of the world. Whatever that is, they're going to give you some information, hopefully, honestly, about how they're feeling. And depending on what they say is how you respond differently to that. So, like you said, you don't expect your dog to give you 1,000 downloads about in words what they're doing, but you can see through their body language and through their what they're doing, their movement, everything. You can get information about how they may be feeling in a particular day or particular situation. And for me, as I said, I saw happiness in Charlie that day. I saw a little bit of stiffness in his back end, which he's aging now. He's going to be 14 this year. So I saw a little bit of stiffness, but I also saw a lot of joy, and I saw a lot of gentleness in him. And so it just gives me information on this particular day, what we can and cannot do, or may not do, for instance. Like I might decide when I'm asking my dog, how are you today? What walk we'll take, or what activity we may or may not do because of how that individual is feeling. And I just think, how many people do that? How many people actually will ask their dog, whether it's just through observation or with words, and then actually adjust depending on their feedback that they get.
I love that. I actually love that because it's something that we've done for a long time, and I think I didn't even know what I was doing, but it was as you start to come down this path. And I think one thing that both of you were talking about is perspective, and it's important to realize that we are but one perspective. And that goes for if you're with your dog, your family, your coworkers. That's just always understand in life. We have no idea what's going on with another dog, our dog, like without asking them. Coworker lashes out at you. We have no idea what just happened in their life. So, I mean, if we lash back, then we both needed to have a release of anger at some point. But if we get all like we hold everything in and then lash out to ourselves or to our spouse later, like now we're just right. You start and so when you think of it, but our dogs are so honest. No matter what they do in a day, it's real and it's in the present moment and it's honest. And how we take it is just information for us because they're gonna be what they are, but they're so we call it resilient, maybe. That's one word that when, Zori will get into a fight with Django and then 3 seconds later they're best friends again. And, they don't hold grudges on one another. He probably looked at her funny and we, like there's some kind of an exchange and usually it happens when we're not watching and that, but I think it's this our dogs are so amazing in showing us what our honesty is because they're always going to give us theirs. And it's important that we start. And I think that brought a question up for me. Like, I started in pretty standard dog training. And I don't not like it. I think there's a time and a place for everywhere. And I think I would tell you I haven't always thought that when I started learning partnership, that was the way, and you should never like give your dog a command. But the truth is, it's a very great way to start having a conversation with your dog when you're doing it and you both are in agreement.
Mm.
And I think, Sue, your body language thing, you can tell when your dog's in agreement. If I were to give Django commands because we did so much with him, he'd probably tell me to F off. I don't want any part of it. And he'll walk out of the room. But Zori just like, she loves tricks and she'll get this huge smile on her face. She wants to do it. So we have fun doing it. And I think that's the energy, and you guys can probably speak to that more. But when you start out on this plane, it's very natural to start out doing something by a textbook. So was there a point in time where intuition became your guide? Like, do you remember a moment, or was there a scenario where like you started to realize it wasn't about fixing, that it was about feeling each other in a way? And for us, it's just an ever evolving, like, I'm not afraid to change my mind. I think it's a natural part of
Mm.
being humans.
That's a great question. And I don't know if it's directly linked to this, but I will share the exact event that happened that actually really made me realize a very simple thing where I was asking Charlie to get in the car. And we'd always got in the car to go on our walks. It's been a routine forever. And he started sniffing around. And it was like the first reaction is, don't waste my time. Just get in the damn car. We're going. And he ignored me, pretended he hadn't heard me, and he walked off or whatever. And it's so easy in that moment to blame the dog. It's so easy in that moment to just expect, well, the dog is being narfy, doesn't want to listen to me, doesn't feel like going on a walk, blah, 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 all of those things. And I just decided to stop and listen. And straight away, I just listened. I just observed him. I didn't say stop sniffing. I just observed what he was doing. And every now and then he would sniff and then look up at me. And he would lick his lips and he would then carry on sniffing. And I thought, he's trying to communicate something to me. I just don't know what it is. And I just stood really still, took a deep breath, and I suddenly intuitively felt he needed help getting into the car. He could not. He didn't have the strength that he used to be able to jump in the car. And then it suddenly dawned on me, yes, the last few times he's hesitated getting in the car, and he's clipped his paw, his back paw, every time he's jumped in. And now, and suddenly all those pieces came together, boom, boom, boom. He's been telling me, he's been showing me that he's been struggling to get in the car. But I hadn't been listening to that. I hadn't been looking for that and listening to that. And he gave me the time to slow down and stop and to say, I need help getting in the car. I can't do it anymore. And it was such a powerful, oh my God, he's just asking for help. And it's such a different way to the way we would expect that, because we would expect a child to say, I can't get in the car. He can't speak. How else can he communicate that he needs help getting in the car? And from that day, that day I helped him into the car, and then we got a ramp, and he started, using the ramp, and now he uses the ramp to get in and out the car. And that was all tying in with his, his arthritis, and he had a knee, at that time he had a bad knee, which further down the line we realized he actually had to have a replacement, a plate put in his knee so it was all those things together, but I had to slow down and I had to really start listening to the tiny little details that he was showing me and this is where we get it so wrong. And I'm not saying it's people, I'm not putting blame on people. It's just because we've never really learned to listen with all our senses and to do these subtle observations because we are humans with words, and so we lack the training, as it were, our own self-training and how to observe an animal's communication. And so, and when we do allow our intuition to come in, it's remarkable, I think, because that is how they do communicate so often, and we are unaware of it. And so we have to slow down and give them the time and the space. Yeah, so that was my event that I really realized that communication is more than just verbal commands.
It's a great story.
For me, there will be lots of different ones, but I feel it began with when I started learning about zoopharmacognosy, animal remedy knowing. And well, it started a little bit with the behavior work when I was training with Sheila Harper, and we were learning to slow down and observe the dogs. And I remember watching a group of people outside that were on my course, and this one lady was trying to really do the whole, like, I'm going to slow down and curve and see if I can help the dog settle. And I remember feeling that person's emotions through her performance. So I remember thinking, this is great that she's doing all the practical things to help the dog walk more slowly, but I can sense that she's really tense and really stressed, as well as the dog. So there was that a little bit, but actually it was when I was working with horses, which is not my background. I'm not a horse person. I'm one of those that, for me, a horse has a bottom and a mane, and I don't have, I don't have all of the equine terminology. And I was on a horse zoopharmacognosy course, and there was about 15 people that were deep in the horse world, highly experienced and knowledgeable about equines. And the horse, I can't remember what was going on with the horse, but there was an issue. So the horse was being offered lots of different essential oils, and I was stood at the back because, feeling like I don't really know much about them, so I'm just going to stand here. And while I was watching, and all of these different people coming in offering different oils, and I was just getting like, no, 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 I don't want any of that. I need something for my tummy. And so I just kind of meekly piped up, can we just try him with some chamomile flowers and some marigolds? And he'd rejected everything till that point. And that's what he just was like, he was just like, I need to take this stuff in internally. And I felt really good to have, number one, to have got that information. And number two, to then have felt comfortable to share it. And then I got the confirmation back from the horse. So I guess it was interesting for me is because I had no preconceptions. I didn't know horses. So I wasn't coming in with all of these like attachments to what should and shouldn't happen. I just was purely like a kid watching something and then just saying what popped in my head. So I feel that's when it started to really, the feeling side rather than the doing side came through so much more strongly. I guess because when you're working with plants and you're working with the animal leading, you just are naturally then listening better. But it took a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still practicing, still working on it.
Always.
Always.
That's the fun bit.
That is the fun bit, yeah. What about you, Kim?
I think, man, I'm such a fixer. I mean, I own it. I'm a lot better. I'm a recovering fixer.
Hands up.
I can admit it. For me, I believe, again, it was, almost 6 years ago, kind of hard to believe. I started animal communication because I couldn't do it. And I would tell you, like, my entire life, I was using my intuition, but I would have told you I didn't have one. That's for like strange people, that's not, I don't have that. I'm very logical and practical, and everything was numbers and things that I could solve, and life isn't solvable. And so when we got our puppy Zori, Django just hated her. And we had lost Django's playmate, had passed on, and we're like, oh, he's 7 and Zam's like almost 13, and she was getting like to not wanting to really, she wasn't a super playful dog. She was more like play police. So we brought Zori home and Django just hated her. Hated her. And we kept them separated. And I was sitting outside regretting bringing a puppy home. And she came through Aussie Rescue again because she just picked us. We picked her, we picked each other, and it was inevitable. But I was crying and I was thinking we were going to have to rehome her because it's not fair. We're trying to take care of a 10-week-old puppy that needs lots of attention, and Django can't. Her movement, I think, was too fast. But again, Sue, it's like you said, I couldn't slow down to understand it. At that time, I was actually just inexperienced and incapable of doing it. And I didn't know that I was, because I would have told you that I knew a lot. I had learned a lot, and I was still working at my old job, actually, but I think I had intention to leave. And Zori, like, I just saw her as clear as day in my head. Don't worry about me. I'm here to help him. And those words in her face, and like, I burst into tears, and I knew they were going to be fine. And it instantly made me stop stressing and trying to fix anything. And we just went on about our lives, separating them, and we got into a routine with it, but we stopped hating it. We stopped
Stop resisting the
stopped
truth.
resisting it, stopped blaming, like, why are we in this? Why me, right? The victim. Why can't we just get dogs that are normal? And I mean, I don't believe in random things. And I would say within a week after I officially left my job, Django broke through the gates. We panicked initially, and then he was just like, I think you, little dog, are pretty cool, and let's be friends. And I, like, it was a little tense for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and I dropped some lavender rags on the floor, and within 10 minutes, they're sleeping next to each other, and now they're just inseparable. Normally Zori's attached to his neck, and he just loves it. It's just, they walk around the house and as like one attachment. And so that was kind of when you start to realize when you take your foot off the gas, things can shift. And it's a hard thing when we're do people. It's not an easy, simple concept. So I think it's just practice. It's a skill, honestly.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, Kim, where you there's a shift, there's a turning point, there's a shift that I've experienced, that I recognize that you've just had, and I know every single one of us has had it. And I think this is so hard for people, but you get to a point where it feels exhausting. It's like a turn, like you say, you will go into, why the hell is this dog in my life? I just want him to go away. I just want the pain to go away. I just want the discomfort to go away. I've screwed up, all of those things. And you're going to come to this rock bottom place where you actually have to make a decision, or you don't even have to. It's just a natural thing that you say, well, that's it. You can either say, I really do need to rehome this dog, and I don't hold it against people. Sometimes it's just too much in their life. It is too difficult, and the circumstances just simply do not allow the space for either the person or the dog to get what they need. So I don't hold that against people if that's, what they really feel that is necessary. But there usually comes a point where we have to actually accept what is and say, this sucks. I've got to stop fixing. I've got to stop wishing and hoping that it's ever going to be different. because it's that holds us in this fixing place. Well, let me try this, and let me just try that, and let me just keep trying this, and let me try something different. It's this never-ending cycle of we've got to get it right, and then things will be okay.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
think it's such a powerful thing when you finally say, okay, this sucks. I don't know what's next. I don't know why we're in each other's lives. It sucks and I don't like it, but I'm here for the long ride.
Yeah.
And I'm here
Yeah.
to partner with you and to see where this goes. And it's literally, as you say, you could, things will start to shift almost immediately. I'm not saying everything gets better. I'm not saying that the dog changes, but I am saying that the shift happens, that suddenly things become a lot easier. The pressure is taken off both the dog and the person, and small shifts start to happen. And for me, a real obvious thing that we don't seem to realize is just as we mature with age and things change, so it's the same with our dogs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They mature, they go through phases, they end phases, they start to mature, they start to figure things out on their own, and they start to make the changes from themselves. And one of the biggest things was always for me is you cannot change the behavior of another being. It doesn't matter who they are, person or animal. They are the ones that have to change the behavior.
Mm.
We are the ones that support the environment and support the whatever the conditions in which that behavior is able to change. But the animal or the person is the only one that is ever going to make the change themselves. And I think as the moment we let go of the pressure that we're going to fix them is allowing the space where that can start to happen, where they can start their own
And
process of change.
and I think it starts within us, doesn't it? Like where you just, like you said, you just surrender to it. And because for me, it's always like kind of ground my gears.
So Charlie.
Speaking of,
Speaking of,
he's got something to say. It's always ground my gears when like people are like you're walking your dog on a leash and say you're like doing training, and I couldn't do it, and so it's like just, and all it is just it's information to lead me to keep like learning about myself. It's just you're holding tension in the leaf. Stop holding it. You have to breathe through it, and they'll respond. And I'm like, all this stuff with Django. It's like I'm not stressed out. I'm not, I'm not stressed out. And and you're trying to like walk it, and I'm like, it's not in a textbook. It just isn't in a textbook. It's a relationship,
Yes.
and we have relationships with our animals, and we're blessed to have that. And yeah, I think the lesson, nobody, I mean, who in life like wrote a book that said everything in our life should be like rainbows and roses?
Oh, how dull.
Yeah. But we just instantly either feel
Yeah.
guilty or try to push away when our dog pisses us off. And you know what? Sometimes they do. It just happens. And sometimes we do it to them, and it's just life. And I've always said that like when a rehoming has to happen, I mean, again, it's a lot like my career hops and yours as well. It's like if they didn't have that experience in this home, they wouldn't know what their forever home was meant to be. So it's all like that role of being a home, even if temporary for a dog, is so vital.
Yeah.
Vital. And instead of beating yourself up, be grateful for the opportunity to like learn about what doesn't work or what doesn't feel good in your, you know what I mean? It's like just it's all a gift for us.
Yeah, and once I had learned what I had through the behavior training, I looked back at some of the relationships that I had with my earlier animals, like a dog that I remember who was also extremely anxious, and two of my horses who were very, very anxious. And I looked back at what I know now, and I see the relationship again through such totally different eyes. And at first there was guilt about, that never kind of worked out the way I wanted it to work out. And one of my little dogs actually had to be put down because of her severe, severe anxiety. That was many, many years ago. She was just a total nervous wreck. And now I feel guilty because I think, wow, what I know now I could have helped her with, but it was part of my journey. It was part of who I am today, that I had to experience something like that, to have an animal, have other animals in my life with anxiety. And as you two may know already, that I have, one of my youngest is also has anxiety. My youngest child has anxiety. Not so young anymore, now an adult. But she also has anxiety, and my animals have helped me through understanding behavior, and through observations have helped me with my own children and my own human relationships, and understanding anxiety in a completely different way. So yeah, it's all part of it, isn't it? There is no right or wrong. There is all these relationships, and all parts of the relationships, even the stuff that we think we did wrong or we did badly or whatever, is all part of the journey. It's all part of the understanding. And we can see that from the dog's point of view too. They're also on a journey. They're also on, going through their own experiences and their own life. Yeah, their own life path. And it
It's
makes
like,
them who they are. All the experiences that they have makes them who they are as adult dogs.
yeah. And because everything is connected, it's it's an evolution. You were talking about evolution right at the start, and that is how we evolve. Is all right, they don't always have to be extreme events. They can be little things, but it is like a computer game where you go up the next level and you gather those skills, and then you go, oh, then you might, die, or you might fall off the balloon, but then you get another life. Or, I mean, I'm not saying that we reincarnate, but that there is a growth, but it doesn't just go directly in this perfect
No.
straight line. And
No.
and working at Battersea Dogs Home, people, probably everybody I spoke to, said that must have been really hard, and I said, no, it wasn't. It's the best job I ever had, because I would see all of it. I would see the people that would bring in a dog because someone had died, or someone had got really sick, or they'd been moved into a property that they couldn't live in anymore, or they had to go to work, or they had had a baby, and people, for some people it would look like it was an easy decision. Other people, it looked like a really hard decision. But those dogs, it's part of that dog's journey too. And yeah, that there were times where it didn't work out and the dog wouldn't make it out of the rescue. They'd either stay there or they would be euthanized because of whatever, that is part of it. But it it almost was like a tiny, like a thumbprint's not the right word, but because there were people from all walks of life at Battersea, and there were dogs from all walks of life, it was almost like a tiny version of the world at large. All of these, you've got pure breed dogs, and you've got dogs that come in with limbs missing, or they've been used for fighting, or that have been, from all different backgrounds, and they all come in together and mix and learn, and then they go out into a different home, and you're just part of that dog's journey. And I think that just is it. The pressure exists because we think there's a right way. And also I want to speak to that bit that you said about when you're trying all the things, and then finally you just get honest that I am pissed off. But I think the really important bit that took me a long time to get is the dog's not pissing me off. the dog is helping me access my internal anger.
Exactly.
And my anger is there for, whether I've inherited it or whatever, it's my perception. So I could look at Darcy and, I don't know, say say it's high winds, she's on one, and we're running through a field and I trip over a bramble. I could say to Darcy, you're being an absolute arsehole. It's your thanks very much. I'm really annoyed. You've made me mad. You've made me mad. Of course I could do that. And I may have done that. And I'm sure there will be times but that's me giving away all my power and saying that her action is created that emotion in me. But someone else could walk her in high winds and trip over a bramble and think it's hilarious and completely love the adventure. And they do those challenges called Tough Mudders, and they just think this is brilliant. I'm loving all of that. But it's the same dog, same experience. So I think that's the bit that is missing or gets messy, is because we blame the dog. We blame the dog for upsetting us, but the only person that can upset us is us, based on what is in our foundation, what our fears are, what our agenda is, all of that.
You left out you left out part of the story.
Which bit?
You can trip and fall and blame the dog. Somebody else could trip and fall and think it's hilarious, and I would be the bystander that thought it was funny.
You need to come and watch me walk my dogs. I trip and fall a lot.
And you're rubbing off on me because I said the word bramble the other day and Jim made fun of me.
Oh, really? Do you not say brambles in the States?
Apparently we don't, but now I'm I've become international.
You've been hanging out with us too much.
You said something so important about we're giving our power away when we blame the dog, right? But the other part of that is when we try to control the dog through obedience, we're actually, and when we have the expectations, we're taking their power away. So we disempower our dogs as much as we give them ours. It's this exchange that it's an awareness that if we can start growing an awareness towards it, we'll start to shift. But when we, you think about it, if we're making decisions even for our household, human household, you can't eat this, you have to eat that. We're disempowering the person to make choices they're fully capable of making. So
yeah, Kim, that's a huge one. I think it's a whole new discussion, but
it is.
I think I'll add on to that, because I remember that as well, this control thing. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but I can see it, because I can see it. I recognized it myself at one stage, when people would say, oh, your dogs are so well behaved, and gee, they listen, and look at that recall. It was really good for my ego. It was a great for my ego, because I'd done it. I trained them to listen and to follow, my commands. And it's such an ego thing. It's so easy to go on an ego trip. And like you said, it could be quite fun for the dog sometimes. But a lot of the time, as you say, it's very disempowering, and it takes away their intelligence, really, to think that we have to be in control and tell them what to do, because they don't know what to do. I mean, it's ridiculously crazy. And I do liken it to that example of, as you said, it's so easy to, like when we were kids, and not everybody, but in my generation, a lot of kids were growing up telling, you never question authority. You do what you were told, you toe the line, and you follow what your parents say, and all of those things, and you never talk back. And so a lot of that has been taken, that style of parenting, dog owners have put on their dogs with the same thing. And we see how detrimental now, we can see the detriment it has on children's development. And so why should it be any different for our dogs, when they are so controlled and so suppressed, as it were, and we take away their intelligence and we take away their agency. It has equally detrimental effects on our relationship with them and their well-being.
Don't we all, like, I remember in my 40s, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my late 30s, 40s. And I remember somebody, this just popped in my head, I remember somebody saying, just go and sit in your car in the middle of nowhere and just yell. Like, just go and sit in the car and just go, rah! And I did, and it was really good fun. But we don't allow our dogs to do that. We don't allow them.
Yeah,
They
you
do it in
want a
short
little screaming
bursts.
fit. You want to have a barking fit. Come on, let's go. Let's just
Yeah.
bark and go wild and tear around and chase cats and go on.
And
come on.
I know if I do that with Darcy, like, to really like, come on, let's go. And she really goes into it. And it's almost like I can just, it's not that she needs a walk necessarily. I just know that she's needing to release, like, just energy. And Bex took her out this morning, and we had someone, a local lady, take her out for a walk on her own for the first time. So we were already on like tenterhooks, knowing this was about to happen. So Darcy was like pumped. So when Bex literally just took her down the road, of course she saw a person and a van went past, and she's like, Darcy's on one today. I'm like, what? Yeah, because we're like this. But I know that she just needs to express that in whatever way, whether it's dig something in the garden or like play rough, or we'll just like do some hoofs, or we'll whatever it is. But I think it's just, we like bits. We've got to give them that outlet to express that natural, like the podcast is our outlet for expressing who we are and what we want to get out to the world, and just something and connecting. That's our outlet. It feels good for us to do this, and they need, maybe our dogs need a podcast.
That would be interesting.
Whoa.
But like you said, just that outlet, Rachel. And, you know, I think back now as you were talking, and I remember, you know, those early days with Charlie when he would just like take off and just go. You know, it was probably his way as well of just, you know, just releasing and the freedom and just just letting it all out and just being a dog and following his instincts was probably such a brilliant relief, and for, you know, for what he needed at that time where we were having such a struggle with each other and with his own anxiety, etc. It was such a perfect relief for him. And yet I saw it as a problem because I didn't feel safe, you know, with him just tearing off. But he needed it, you know, he needed it. And yeah, I think it's a huge thing. How do we give our dogs that kind of agency and freedom in the kind of living circumstances that most of us have, leash laws and, you know, all these things, and not enough spaces for dogs to be dogs and to express it the way that is innately natural for them. It's difficult.
We're all going to move to Kim's.
Cool.
With a bit of land, they could just go out and mud. What is it called? Muddying.
Yeah, it's still too frozen. So soon. Soon. So what essential oils do we have with us today?
I'm going to use a fancy name.
Uh-oh.
Melaleuca.
Oh, nice.
Lovely.
I was expecting Bella Paredes.
Ooh.
Tea tree.
Oh, yeah.
Good old tea
Oh,
tree.
I love it.
Love it.
I need glasses. Well, I know what it is, but I'm trying to be clever now and read the Latin. Nicotiana planifolia.
Oh, I know. That's
Nice.
tobacco.
Yeah.
Oh. Little pinch between your cheek and gum. That would be great.
Yeah. Smells fruity. Which is funny, isn't it? Fruity.
I love tobacco, actually.
Yeah.
Like, not the aromatic.
For
Let me
those of you who
rephrase.
can't see this podcast,
Yes.
the tobacco leaf has gone up Rachel's nose.
Just the right one.
Just up the right nostril.
I love to sit in my pants with tobacco.
On your veranda.
Yes.
Let's just get
brambles
some
all around.
stereotypes going, shall we? Brambles.
I didn't think it was a strange word. I also broke a pair of like dress shoes, like little like for whatever heels I wear, and I'm like, oh, I need to take it to a cobbler.
Take to a
I thought Jim was gonna bust the gut. He's like, a cobbler?
You just jumped timelines to the 18th century.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
What have
dear.
you got,
Oh,
Kim?
I have
My cheeks
Raven
hurt.
Sarah. Raven Sarah.
lovely.
Love it.
It's very offering me a lot of clarity today.
I've got
it's good.
Rosemary to my left. I am
Mm,
surrounded.
beautiful.
I
I
feel
did
nice
order
and
rose.
clear now.
I did order some rosemary for the garden this year.
Oh,
So,
goody.
got to start growing it in the basement, and then we'll see how big we can get it.
Cool. I love that you grow
Sweet.
it in the basement first.
Yeah, it's too cold here right now
Alright,
to put seeds
okay.
out.
Right, fair enough.
About middle May, that's when we can
Right.
start getting outside. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right, lovely ladies.
Lovely
Call
ladies.
it. We're gonna call it we're gonna call it a wrap.
It feels
Yes.
good. Yes.
Been wonderful, beautiful conversations as always. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always changing me. As Kim always says, we come here into these sessions as one person, we leave as another, because whatever has been shared has positively changed us in some way.
Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah.
for that. What else, ladies? Last words.
Ask your dog who they want to be today. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. But I think if you like what you hear, subscribe and ask us a question.
Yeah, we'd love some more questions. Yeah. Keep them rolling in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks, Carol. It's a great
And
question.
yeah, thank you, Carol. It's a really good question.
Really good.
Gave us an entire podcast. Brilliant.
All right, let's a wrap, ladies. Thank you. See you next
Bye.
see you 2 weeks
Bye.
time. Bye-bye.